Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Hare Krishna. Advaita Gadada Shivasati Gaurabhakta Vrinda.
Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Samadeta Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Jai Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. So, we're back.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everyone. Everyone here in the temple, everybody who are watching live, and everyone who will watch later on. So Happy New Year to you all, and a very Krishna conscious and savor-full year we are praying for. And we are also praying that we will have more association of the Vaishnavas, more Nama Sankirtan, more Harikatha, more Bhagavat Prasadam, and more, generally more Krishna consciousness in our lives. And if we are to make a New Year's resolution, don't worry about, I should go to the gym, or I should do this, or I should do that. But what our New Year's resolution will be is that we shall try to serve Krishna. We shall try to serve Krishna. Srila Govinda Maharaj, sometimes he would say, after giving Harinam initiation to the Vaishnavas, the new devotees, he would say, "It is my expectation that from this day you will serve Lord Krishna every day for the rest of your life." So this is, initiation means to begin something, to initiate something, to begin something. So we are thinking the new year is like a kind of initiation, a new beginning, a new start. So in this year, let us take that time to reaffirm our faith in Krishna consciousness, to renew our vows to Hari, Guru and Vaishnava, and try to serve the Lord with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all of our soul, as much as is possible by us. We shall try to do that. Our only purpose in life is to satisfy our Lord. And although we are meager and small, we will try to satisfy our Lord as much as possible for us. So my apologies last week. I could not make the class last week because I had the COVID virus and was in my bed. But now I am recovered and tested negative last 3 days. So happy to be back with the Vaishnavas, happy to be back in the temple serving with the Vaishnavas. And as before, we are continuing our examination or our discussion on the books, the teachings of our founder Acharya Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. Beginning with the first book, his seminal book, which was from the taken from the talks of His Divine Grace given in Navadip Dham from 1982 onwards, and some a little before perhaps, but that made up this book, Search for Sri Krishna Reality, the Beautiful, the first book. Then Sri Guru and His Grace, then the Golden Volcano of Divine Love, the Lord's Loving Search for His Lost Servant, and the Subjective Evolution of Consciousness. All of these books are essential reading and essential study for all of those who aspire to be members of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math in all its different manifestations. But Chaitanya Saraswat Math essentially means those who follow the teachings of Om Vishnupad Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj as taught and spread all over the world by His Divine Grace Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. So this chapter is called Knowledge Above Mortality. We didn't read that one, did we? Yet, I think the last one we read, I think, was Origin of the Soul. Yes. So knowledge above mortality. If we did read it, no harm. I will in a minute. Yeah. So, knowledge above mortality. Here we are. Just reminded you have to own your broadcast, not be anonymous. Knowledge above mortality. Knowledge above mortality is knowledge proper. Mundane knowledge has no value, for it does not endure. We must inquire elsewhere for permanent knowledge. Real knowledge is stable. It has a firm foundation, and Vedic education deals with how to acquire that knowledge. Or maybe we did read this one. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's read it again. The meaning of the word Veda is know. K-N-O-W. No rhyme or reason is shown why you should know, and no explanation is given. Simply know. Because doubt is absent in the spiritual plane, no cheating is possible. It is a simple, direct transaction. Know. In that transcendental plane, everyone is a confidential friend, and they are stainless in their conduct. No cheating tendency is possible there, so there is no suspicion. Here we are in the plane of misunderstanding and doubt. So we want to examine everything. We are living in a vulnerable and vitiated plane where people cheat one another. We cannot rely on others, for they may deceive us. But where cheating is unknown, transactions are very simple and straightforward. So no reason is given for suggestions that come down from that plane. Now the question arises, how to attain that sort of true, comprehensive and non-deceptive knowledge. In Bhagavad-Gita, 4th chapter, Krishna says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana. To learn knowledge above mortality, you must approach a self-realized soul, accept him as your spiritual master, and take initiation from him. Inquire submissively and render service unto him. Self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you, for they have seen the truth. We have to approach the domain of knowledge with self-surrender, honest inquiry, and a serving attitude. We have to approach that plane with the mentality of slavery. Higher knowledge will not serve a person of lower status. If we want perfect knowledge at all, we will have to serve the Supreme Lord. He will use us for his own purpose, not that we will use him. We may be subjects in this mundane world, but we will have to become objects to be handled by the super knowledge of that plane. If we want to connect with that higher knowledge, we must approach with this attitude. Pranipat means that I have finished my experience here. I have no charm or aspiration for anything in this world. Then there is pariprashna, or honest, submissive, and humble inquiry with sincere eagerness, and not with a challenging mood. Otherwise, perfect knowledge won't care to descend to us. Krishna is already full in himself, so we have to enter his domain only to fulfill his purpose. He can't be subservient to us, for we are tiny persons with meager experience and a conception of mean fulfillment. We cannot handle him. We can approach him only if we like to be handled by him. So such a favorable environment should be created where real knowledge is to be cultivated. That knowledge is supreme and cannot be subservient to the mundane conception, the world of mortality. It is Satchid Ananda. Sat means unassailable existence. Chit means consciousness. And Ananda means beauty and pleasure. I must try to relieve myself of my present material miseries and inquire after a proper land where I can live happily. Having come to this conclusion, we will have to search for a person who is a bona fide agent of the higher world and consult with him about how we can be relieved from this present undesirable environment. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, it is said, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigneshu Shreya Uttamam Sabde Pare Chanisnatam Brahmanya Upashamam Rashrayam. What is the conception of real good, and who is considered to be a bona fide agent of the truth? One who has knowledge of the scripture that has descended from the upper domain, who has theoretical as well as practical knowledge of higher truth, must be approached by a bona fide inquirer. For such a qualified spiritual master can impart proper knowledge to the sincere student. In the Mundaka Upanishad, it is also stated, Tad Vijnanartam Sagurum Eva Bigachet Samitpani Strotriyam Brahmanishtam. In order to learn transcendental knowledge, one must approach a genuine spiritual master coming in disciplic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. In this verse, the word tata means after this. When one's calculation is finished, he thinks, life is not worth living here in this world of birth, death, old age and disease. I must have a better world in which to live, where I can live as a gentleman. At every moment, death is devouring everything. Birth, death, old age and disease. All these troubles prevent me from fulfilling my ambitions here. I want something categorically different. At that time, taking the responsibility on his own shoulders, without giving any trouble to the Guru, and at the risk of poverty, ill-feeding, and so many other hardships, he will approach the Guru. It is a free transaction, not that he will give something to Gurudev, but he will collect what is necessary. But he will collect what is necessary for sacrifice, for education, and at his own risk he will approach the spiritual master. And what will be the position of the Guru? He will be well versed in the scriptures, the Shruti Shastra, or that knowledge which can only be acquired through the medium of sound, by attentive, earnest hearing. Strotiyam Brahmanishtam. Brahmanishtam means one who is established in Brahman or spirit, and who is acquainted with the causal position of the universe. That is described in the Upanishads. Jetova imani bhutani jayante, jena jatani jivanti, jat prayanti abhisham vishanti, tad vidgyanashava tadeva brahma. That is from the Tatriya Upanishad. The Supreme Brahman is the origin and shelter of all living beings. When there is creation, he brings them forth from their original state, and at the time of annihilation, he devours them. After creation, everything rests in his omnipotence, and after annihilation, everything again returns to rest in him. These are the confirmations of the Vedic hymns. Jasmin vigyate sarvamevam vigyatam bhavati, jasmin prapte sarvamidam praptam bhavati. By knowing him, everything is known. By getting him, everything is gained. We have come to inquire about Brahman, the biggest, the all-accommodating principle, by knowing which we can know anything and everything. And it is possible, it is not impossible. The Upanishads say, if you want to know anything, then know the whole. And what is the nature of the whole? Everything is coming from him. Everything is being maintained by him. And again, everything enters into him. That is Brahman. So try to know that. If you can know that, everything will be known to you. This is also explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto. Jata taro mula nisheshchanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujo pashakaha pragno parachcha jatendriyanam tataiva sarvaham achuteja. Just as if you pour water onto the root of a tree, the whole tree is fed. And just as when you supply food to the stomach, the whole body is fed. So if you gain knowledge of the prime cause, Brahman, then you can know anything and everything. Faith in this is called Shraddha. The Vedanta Sutra, the very gist of the Vedas, says, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that you have finished with the fruitive activities recommended in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas by Jaimini, we ask you to inquire about Brahman. That is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadi asya jato navyad itaratas charteshva vigyata shwarat. Friends, this is the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Friends, let us inquire into the prime cause, whose nature is such that whatever we can see and whatever we can conceive of springs from him. He is the ultimate cause of everything, both directly and indirectly. Only he knows the purpose for which all things are created and maintained. Only he knows where all things will go. Only he is aware of that fact, no one else. Arteshva abhigya swarat means that he knows the meaning of every incident in existence, and that he is above giving any explanation to others. He is not responsible to any law or to anyone else. He is absolute and independent. A very difficult principle for people to accept. That the Lord is not responsible for anything. He knows everything, what is the meaning of everything, and why every incident takes place, but he's not answerable to anybody. So you can, shout at the top of your voice and raise your fist, demand answers, but he does not have to reply to you. He does not have to submit to your inquiry. And why would he? Why would he? It's, we're like ants to him in one sense. We're no more significant than ants. Then, if the ant is raising its, what are they? Pincers. Its pincers or whatever to us, demanding something. We won't even take any slight notice of it, will we? No, not at all. So, unless they're fire ants and stop biting. But even then. So, this is the position of the Lord. And the atheists will say, if he doesn't appear before me, if he doesn't show himself to me, then I don't believe that he exists. Well, so what? So what? It doesn't matter. He is above everything, absolute and independent. And how do we know that? He has extended knowledge of himself through the Vedas. Brahma means Veda. So by the line of inspiration or revelation, Vedic knowledge was transmitted to the first living being, the creator of the world, Lord Brahma. Tene Brahma Riddha Ye Ya Adi Kavaye. The scholars of the world fail to understand the strategy and nature of that sort of knowledge. They cannot follow the vital and fundamental points of Vedic knowledge, such as the transformation of one thing into another. Muyanti Jat Shuraya. Water may be transformed into gas, gas may be transformed into ether, earth may be transformed into heat. By such a process we can understand the existence of this world. Tejo Bori Mridam Jata Vinimayo Jatra Trisargo Mrisha. For by the transformation of the Lord's energy, this world comes into being. This transformation involves the three modes of nature, tamas, rajas, and sattva. Tama means hard, static matter. Raja means energy. And sattva means spirit, light, knowledge. So by transformation, this world has been created. In his abode, which is illumined by the ray of his own knowledge, there is no possibility of deception or misunderstanding. Damna svena sada nirashta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Here we are being deceived through misunderstanding. We have entered a plane of existence where the whole world is full of misconception, falsity, and miscalculation. We are presently living in the world of Maya. Maya means ma-ya, what is not. I am seeing something which is really something else. Ishavasham, everything is meant for God. That is the Hegelian theory. Reality is by itself and for itself. Hegel is the founder of ideal realism. So he says, reality is by itself and for itself. By itself means that he is his own cause. No one has created him. Otherwise, whoever had created him would have primary importance. For itself means that God exists only to fulfill his own purpose. This is the universal truth. Everything is for him, and nothing is for anyone else. So when we think that the things around us are meant for us, or for our nation, or for the human beings, this is all a false calculation. And knowledge based on such a miscalculation has its reaction. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. I am eating something, then it is entitled to eat me. In the Manu Samhita, the word mangsha is used to indicate meat. Mam means me. Sha means he. Mangshaha means me, he. What is the meaning? I am eating him, and he will eat me afterwards as a reaction. He is entitled to devour me, as I am at present devouring him. This is the underlying meaning. Every action, whatever it is, has its reaction. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita. Jagyatat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartam karma kunteya mukta sangha samachara. This is in the 3rd chapter. Unless work is done as a sacrifice for Vishnu, one's own work will be the cause of bondage. Therefore work on my behalf and free yourself from the chain of action and reaction. Bhagavad-Gita says that any work, no matter what it is, causes a reaction. For example, you may be a nurse and nurse a patient. Apparently, that's a good thing. But you are giving the patient medicine that comes from killing so many insects, trees, creepers, and animals. You may think that your nursing is a very pure duty, but you are causing a disturbance in the environment, and you will have to pay for that. In this way, whatever we do here cannot be perfectly good. The German philosopher Kant has said, without good will, no action can be perfectly good. But we are of the opinion that even good will is impossible here in this mundane plane. According to Kant, good will is a pure thing, whereas no action here can be perfect. But we say that even good will is impossible in the relative calculation of the world, because we are plodding in the mud of misunderstanding. This reminds me of a video maybe many of you have seen of Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami he's talking with some lawyers in Australia. There's some case and the lawyers have come to see him because the devotees were caught stealing some flowers or something. I don't know what it was, but anyway, these lawyers have come to see him and they're having some discussion. And so, as Guru Maharaj is saying here, even goodwill is impossible in the relative calculation of the world because we are plodding in the mud of misunderstanding. So in that conversation, one of the lawyers, he says, but surely some things are just intrinsically good, right? If you see an old lady needs to cross the road, you help her across the road. Someone's fallen down, you help them. Surely these things are intrinsically good. But Prabhupada doesn't entertain that for a moment. He just says, no. He puts his chin up like he did. No, he says, if you do not know what is really good, then what is the point of simply jumping like monkeys? He says, then the camera pans to the lawyers and they're all kind of looking sheepishly embarrassed. So it is true that while you're acting in a misconceived world, with your misconception, even what you do, which is meant to be good, is worthless actually, ultimately. It cannot be considered really to be good. In Chaitanya Charitamrita we hear, that Swarup Damodar Goswami, he's speaking to Mahaprabhu, praising Mahaprabhu, maybe some pranam mantra or something he's saying to Mahaprabhu, that your doya, your kindness, is non-evil producing kindness. He uses this expression. So that seems kind of redundant, right? How can kindness be evil producing? So he says your doya is non-evil producing kindness. Your doya means kindness. So what is the meaning? The meaning is this: whatever you do in this world, right? So there is a class of philosophers who say that in this world there are two things, pap and punya. So pap means sin and punya means piety, or doing good, basically, doing good or doing bad. So if you try to live your life only doing punya, doing good works, then that will benefit you ultimately. But they forget that even punya means that you will have to be reborn again in this world. To do only good means you'll have to reap the result of that good, of that punya. You'll have to come back again, another life, to enjoy the results of your punya. So that cannot be considered ultimately to be good, because it keeps us bound in this material world. Good or bad is just a matter of degree. Ultimately, it will keep us bound in this material world. So Swarup Damodar Goswami says, your kindness is non-evil producing kindness. It doesn't bind one to this material world. Rather, it frees the living beings from this material world so that they can leave this place. Guru Maharaj has explained that to us, that everyone is involved in action and reaction, doing good, doing bad, doing whatever it may be, and that binds us to this material world like a fly in a spider's web. The more it struggles, the more it becomes bound up in that web. So then he says, so a more sober class of people, they think this action and reaction of this world is not good. Then better to renounce the world, like practice abnegation and not involve yourself in the good or bad of this world. But that also is incomplete in its thinking, because thinking that something belongs to you and that you can do with it as you please, and thinking that nothing belongs to you and that you should therefore reject everything, they're just opposite sides of the same coin. What is given to us in this life, we are not to try to enjoy that, and we are not to reject that as being reactionary, but we are to utilize that in the service of the Lord. So not the path of exploitation and not the path of renunciation, but the middle path, the path of dedication. And that, by following that path of dedication, every action that we perform will actually free us from the binding of this material world. We will be free from that. So our karma in the most fundamental meaning, karma means action. That our karma will, when connected with Krishna, will give us liberation from this material world. That is karma yoga, and Krishna explains that in Bhagavad-Gita. Do your duty, that's fine, you must do your duty. But don't think that the fruits of that are yours. They belong to me. So whatever you do, if you do that as an offering to me, if you dedicate all of your action in this world as an offering to me, you will come to me. This is a very simple proposition. And it's based on affection. The Lord's affection for his creation and the creation's affection for the Lord. So it's like when I was a child, when we used to get, my brother and I, we used to get pocket money every week. Buy some sweets, buy some toys, whatever it was. But when we were going on holiday, for the weeks leading up to the holiday, we'd save our pocket money. And when we were on holiday by the sea, then my father would take us to a gift shop somewhere, and in that gift shop we'd buy something as a gift for my mother, and it would be something stupid, like a chalk dog or something, which said Cornwall on it, or just some stupid thing, like a cheap thing, but still, my mother has those things in her house from when we were children, because that money that we had wasn't our money, it was our parents' money anyway. So we saved that up and used that to do something like a loving offering to our parents, to my mother. So, and she appreciates that. So in the same way, the Lord has given us so much liberty in this world. Here, these things are for you. And the whole world he has given us to enjoy, you can say. That also comes with a warning. Be careful what you do. Well, what you do, because it's reactionary. But if we take those things and offer them to the Lord out of affection, then the Lord will be touched by that. And that's why he will bless us with the spiritual blessing, not a material blessing, not something that, I'll give you £1, you give me £100 back, or something like that. But rather, if I give you something in service, as an offering of service from my heart, Krishna says in Gita, right? Patram pushpam phalam jalam. That whatever if you offer me fruit, a flower, some water, a leaf, these are all simple things. If you offer them to me with love, I will accept them. So it's not the actual thing that he accepts, it is the heart in which they are given to him. Because everything belongs to him. Everything, all wealth belongs to him. All fruits, all flowers, all water, all leaves, everything are created by him and belong to him anyway. He's not in any need for any of those things. But he says, if with your loving heart you offer any of those things to me, I will accept. And furthermore, he says, if you do everything as an offering to me, the result is you will come to me. This is Krishna says in twice, this same verse in Bhagavad-Gita. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskaro, mami vaishyasi satyam te, pratijani priyoshime. Manmana bhav means give your heart to me. Bow down to me, become my devotee. Do everything you do as an offering to me. And you will come to me. And you can believe me, Arjun. I promise you this. You can believe me because you are priyoshime. You are dear to me. And someone may say, yeah, that's what he says to Arjun, but what about us? But in this case, Arjun represents us. In Bhagavad-Gita, Arjun is our proxy. Krishna spoke Bhagavad-Gita not just for Arjun, but for everyone, for all living beings. And in this case, Arjun represents us, the living beings, the jivas, and Krishna, the Supreme Lord, not representing the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Lord. And he makes this promise to us. If you give yourself to me, become my devotee, bow down to me, do everything as an offering to me, you will surely come to me. And I promise you this, Arjun. And if you can't believe Krishna, who will you believe? So then, it is a very nice thing. Very wonderful thing. It is not just about a transaction, or some kind of calculative idea that I'll give you something, you give me something back in return. Like some temples, if you go to those temples, they say, like if you offer the equivalent of your weight in fruit or in gold or in, whatever it is, then all of your desires will be fulfilled, they say, something like that, And so this is in Tirupati, that temple, Balaji temple in Tirupati, people queue up to do that very thing.
Is it a problem?
No, thank you. To offer their weight in flowers, to offer their weight in gold, to offer their weight in fruit or whatever it is, because they know this will come to them. This blessing will come to them, but it's calculative blessing. It's not. It's a blessing that they're asking for something in this world. It's a missed opportunity, actually. Like Dhruva Maharaj come before Lord Narayan. He performed so much austerity. Why? Because his mother or his father wouldn't let him sit on his knee, right? And because he's not the favorite queen's son. So then he goes to the forest, determined. Then I'll get my own kingdom, and and this way he meets Narad, and Narad tells him, you meditate in this way, and he does so much meditation, little boy Dhruva. And finally the Lord appears to him. And then when he asks him, what do you want? Dhruva says, oh, I was looking for broken glass, and now I found a gem, a diamond. Then all of that seems stupid to me now, that I wanted this or I wanted that. Still, the Lord gives him that, because the Lord is so kind and so merciful. But it is not. We don't want to make a deal with the Lord, If I worship you, you'll give me this, health and wealth and a cottage by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. We're not interested in that kind of transaction with the Lord. We want him. And Krishna will give you anything that you want. It is told in the scripture. If you have no desires at all, come to Krishna. And if you have every desire for everything imaginable, come to Krishna. Don't go anywhere else but Krishna. So this is our thinking. If you want everything or you want nothing, doesn't matter, come to Krishna. But ultimately, what we should want is Krishna. So don't, come before the Lord with your weight in gold or your weight in flowers or your weight in whatever it may be, just wanting your fortune in this material world. You're cheating yourself if you do such a thing. When the Lord himself is there, why would you want anything but him? When
any jiva soul goes to Krishna, then he won't stay for a long time. Like Sudama went Dwarka,
Yes.
but couldn't stay that long. Just maybe a few days and had to go.
But Sudama's case is something unique.
No, but any jiva soul.
Yes. But the point is, Guru Maharaj said, even though Sudama came to Krishna, and
Because he wanted something.
he wanted something. Actually, the fact is he didn't want anything. It was his wife who wanted him to go and ask for something.
Yeah.
He knew we are poor, we are in want, we need all these things. But when he came before Krishna, and even before he came before Krishna, he's thinking, if I just see him, that's enough. That will be enough for me,
Yeah.
And finally, he didn't ask Krishna anything. And it wouldn't even give the offering that his wife had made of the yogurt and flat rice. But Krishna forcibly took that from him. And when he returned, of course, we know that he had so much wealth and opulence given to him by Krishna. Palace and so much, like unimaginable wealth. But what we must remember in this is that as Guru Maharaj said, Sudama accepted all of that with a service-centric heart. He didn't think, like I've won the pools, now's the time to enjoy. No, he only thought of it in relation with the service of Krishna. So then that is the proper thing. We can get anything, but tomorrow if one of us wins the lottery, the temple probably won't be the first port of call. The booking office for that, holiday in Barbados or whatever it'll be the first port of call. Our natural tendency is how to exploit this and enjoy this for ourselves. Maybe further down the line we might think, we'll throw a few pounds to the temple or something like that. But so that's why Krishna generally doesn't give opulence to his devotees, doesn't give wealth to his devotees. You won't get that by worshipping Krishna, because Krishna is Hari, and Hari means he who takes everything away. Krishna takes everything from his devotees, so that ultimately they have no other recourse but the shelter of his lotus feet. But Krishna may grant so many material things, but not so easily he gives himself. And that's really what we want. Even if we don't want that, if you see what I mean. Even if we covet so many things in this material world, that's only Maya. That's only because we're covered by Maya. And if we are intelligent, and if we are sincere, then we'll see that the only desirable thing is the service of Lord Krishna. And Krishna can give us or not give us anything. We don't need to pray for that. Srila Prabhupada said, you don't need to pray, give us this day our daily bread. He already knows that. He already knows what you need. You don't need to say anything about that. But what do we need? We need grace. That's what we really need. And even the Christians will say, when Christ said, give us this day our daily bread, he didn't mean a loaf of bread. He meant give us grace. So, then we are to try to see beyond the superficial and understand what is the real thing. So even, we see Lord Shiva, one Brahmin who was desiring wealth, he prayed to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva told him, if you want wealth, you can go to Vrindavan. There is one sadhu called Sanatana Goswami, and he has a touchstone. I remember when I first came to the temple, one devotee telling me this story about Sanatana Goswami and his touchstone. I was a young boy of 14 years old, and this devotee was telling me about Sanatana Goswami and his touchstone. And although I kind of understood the meaning behind the story, I thought, these people are crazy. They believe in touchstones. These are nuts, these people. But anyhow, that aside, now I've come to the opinion that, as Shakespeare said, there are more things in this world than ever dreamed of in your philosophy, Horatio. So, there are many things in this world that we don't understand. And most things that have some, legend or some, there is some basis in truth with that. But anyhow, so the story goes, right, that Lord Shiva told him, go to Vrindavan, one sadhu is there, Sanatana Goswami, he has a touchstone. If you don't know what a touchstone is, apparently Americans don't understand that idea, right? That, they had that film, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So a touchstone is the Philosopher's Stone. That by a process of alchemy, that stone, if it's touched to base metals, the base metal becomes gold. In America, they couldn't understand, apparently, what is a Philosopher's Stone. So in America, the film is called Harry Potter and the... what is it? There's a different title. Some other, not Philosopher's Stone, but Sorcerer's Stone. They call it the Sorcerer's Stone. They didn't think the Americans would understand what is a Philosopher's Stone. I'm not sure that's true, but anyhow, it's besides the point. The Philosopher's Stone or the Touchstone is a mythical stone, which is meant to be able to, you're able to touch it to base metal and it becomes gold. So I also heard that in mystic yoga there are yogis who can drink mercury, and then by some yogic process, if they urinate on iron or base metal, it becomes gold. Don't try this at home, kids, because you will die. But so all of this is called alchemy, right? This is called alchemy, the transformation of base things into precious things. So this man, he hearing this boon of Lord Shiva, he went to Vrindavan and searched out where is Sanatana Goswami. And he came to the Bhajan Kutir Sanatana Goswami, and he told, oh, Lord Shiva has told me, if I come here, you have a touchstone. And if you can give that to me, then my desires will be fulfilled. Then Sanatana Goswami says, really? Touchstone? Oh yeah, something I can remember about a touchstone, yeah. Well, I think if you look at the back there, where all the garbage is, under that tree, maybe it's there. I think I left it there, threw it there one day, So he's like, whoa, okay. And he said, can I have it? Yeah, take it. If you can find it, take it. So that Brahmin goes out and he's looking, and lo and behold, he finds the touchstone. Maybe he gave it a try on something, it works. So then he bowed down to Sanatana Goswami. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm going now. I've got it. You can imagine, right? Any one of us, if we had such a thing, we'd be skipping down that road, wouldn't we? Like jumping for joy, dancing all the way to the bank, as they say. Unbelievable. What kind of fortune. But this Brahmin was not a foolish man, and not altogether a materialistic man. So, while he's dancing away down the road, a thought occurred to him. This Sanatana Goswami, he just discarded that in the rubbish. Then surely, and we can't imagine or estimate how valuable such a thing would be. Then he's thinking, surely if he just threw it out as if it was rubbish, he must have something even more valuable. So then he returned to Sanatana Goswami and he offered this idea to him. You just threw that out. He said, yeah. Then I think you must have something even more precious, more valuable than a touchstone. If I can't even conceive what that might be, but I think you must have that. Is it true? He said, yes. Something infinitely more valuable. Can I have that? He says, yes, you can have that, but first you have to throw away that touchstone. Would we? Would we do that? I mean, be honest. You know, if we had that in our hand, would we throw it away? But he did. He threw it into the river, threw it away. And Sanatana Goswami gave him Krishna Prema. And really, it's true. It's infinitely more valuable. We're thinking that, you know, to become the master of everything in this world, that will give us satisfaction. And maybe some satisfaction will be there, sure. That you're the lord of everything you survey. And wealth is the way to that, right? So everybody's thinking to become wealthy. And this is more than winning the lottery. This is the jackpot, getting that touchstone. Maybe now there are people in Vrindavan near Sanatana Goswami's Bhajan Kutir dredging the river there, the Jamuna, trying to find that stone. Who knows? I'm not trying to put ideas into anyone's head. But then how much would we be able to understand the infinite value of Krishna consciousness? How valuable that is, and how wonderful to receive such a thing.
This is story, Touchstone. But actually in real life, Sanatana Goswami did. He left his job and everything.
Oh, yes. How that came to him. It's not just a fable. It doesn't mean it's a fable that it just someone made up. He actually had a touchstone, but didn't consider it of any real value. There's what use would that be to him? He's already, like you say, he left everything. He was a high position, like the Prime Minister in Hussein Shah's government in Bengal. He was like the Prime Minister. And he left all of that to come to Mahaprabhu. Then what does he care for any wealth or anything of this material world? He doesn't care for that. And ultimately, we will have to also become like that. We don't want anything but Krishna. Because if you want anything but Krishna, chances are you'll go for that thing. This world is very difficult to navigate. We had one devotee in the time of Guru Maharaj, and even I forget his name now, but his wife, she was not a devotee. His wife was a Christian, and she didn't like, he had 2 children, he used to bring them to the temple. She didn't like that he would bring them to the temple. And but he was coming and serving. Then one night, while he's sleeping, his wife cut off his shikha in his sleep. And then, eventually she told him, okay, you want us, family, or you want Krishna? And we didn't see him again. So, then, I'm not saying that he was insincere or anything, but, the pull of the things of this material world, the affection of those we love in this material world is very strong. It's very strong. How we will have the strength to leave that. Then, so that was Srila Gurudev said, once he said, people say, the deep dark well of householder life and all of this, he said, but I have to tell you, Prabhu, that wasn't my experience. I was very happy in my household life. I had a very happy family life, Then if your family are all devotees of Krishna, no problem to be attached with them. That's not a problem. If you're attached in the right way, in the proper way, then that is a good thing. To be attached to the devotees of the Lord is a good thing. I met his wife, Srila Govinda Maharaj's wife, and his daughters. And many times, I say many times, a few times, I met them, while she lived. But I asked his daughter once. We were talking, and I said, when Gurudev was living with you in the house, what was like your day? What would happen? He said, in the evening, Gurudev, my father, she said, my father, he would sing bhajan with us, And I said, what was his favorite bhajan that he liked to sing? And you know what she told me? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Said this was his favorite. Always singing this song. But we are not singing so much that song. Actually, it is a simple, very simple song, but very, very high meaning. Yeah, very high meaning. Anyway, just remembered that, And his wife, she was a nurse by profession. She was a nurse, and she died. But I can say, from the time that I met, few times that I met her, she was like an angel. I mean, the most wonderful, devoted lady you ever meet in your life. Really, she was like an angel. Anyhow, Gurudev left all that for the service of Guru Maharaj. And we saw the result. So anyway, Guru Maharaj telling, pure knowledge comes only from above, and we have to learn to accept that. When that sort of understanding comes within us, it is known as Shraddha, or faith. Faith is also a great thing. We should have faith that if we do our duty towards the Absolute, then all our duties to the environment in all directions are automatically done. Krishna bhakti kaile sarva karma krita hoy. By satisfying Krishna, the whole universe becomes satisfied. For one who is dear to Krishna is dear to the whole universe. Jasmin tuste jagat tustam, prinite prinito jagat. Just as by watering the root of the tree, all the leaves and branches are automatically nourished. By fulfilling one's duty towards Lord Krishna, all one's duties are automatically fulfilled. Everything is meant for Krishna, and we are also meant for him. Ishavashyam idam sarvam. This is true knowledge, and this is the true situation of the world. Exploitation is an incomplete and reactionary idea for which we incur a debt that we shall later have to pay. We may go to Satyaloka, the highest planet in the material universe, but by exploiting nature, we incur a debt, become heavy, and again go down. And when we go down, others come to exploit and extort us until our debts are paid. Then the heaviness goes and we become light and we go upward to the higher planetary systems again. And when we go up, we exploit those who are in a lower position. In this way, there is a continual exploitation and clearance of debt. This is confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita, 8th chapter. Brahma bhuvana loka purna avartin arjuna. Mamupecha tukunteya purna janma nabidyate. All planetary systems within this world of matter are places of repeated birth and death. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Upon going there, one never returns to this material world. Yad gatva nivartante tad dharma paramam mama. Krishna's abode is nirguna, or transcendental to any material quality. We must firmly establish the conception of Ishavasyam. Everything, including ourselves, is meant for the Supreme Lord. We are all his servants, and we are meant to utilize everything in his service. Any work we perform will bind us in this environment of matter. unless we perform yajna, sacrifice, yagyartat karmano nyatra lokayam karma bandhana. And the Vedas enjoin yajna vai Vishnu. Sacrifice is meant exclusively for Vishnu or Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita, where Krishna says, I am the only enjoyer of every sacrifice. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. Sacrifice is not meant for the country, or for the society, or for anything else. Sacrifice is meant only for the Supreme Lord. No one less than He is worthy of sacrifice. So only by connecting our activities with the infinite can we be freed from the present environment of action and reaction. When knowledge comes in connection with the Absolute, it loses its filthy characteristic. Then we can have full knowledge, which will lead us to prema bhakti, love of God. Everything is meant for Krishna. He is the only enjoyer of everything. He is the absolute autocrat, and He is the absolute good. We are all His servants, and everything is meant for His satisfaction. We must come to this understanding. The Gurukula system of Vedic education should be conceived in this line. Guru means heavy. Guru means one who dispels the darkness, and who is heavy, who cannot be moved by any proposal. He is so well established in the truth that no offer of alternative knowledge or any other proposal can move him from his position. He is firm there. He can help the lagu, the people who are very light, those whom anyone can handle like dolls of play. But the Guru can never be moved from his position. He will sit tight there, heavier than the Himalayas, and face all fleeting conceptions of knowledge, breaking them right and left, and establishing the universal characteristic of absolute knowledge. He will impart knowledge of the absolute, truth, Brahman, the supreme whole, dispelling all misconceptions and establishing knowledge of the absolute upon the throne of the heart. This is the conception of Gurukula, the Vedic system of education of ancient India. The Vedic system of education deals with knowledge proper, not half knowledge, but knowledge of the whole, which can deliver us from all troubles and guide us to the most desirable position. Nowadays we can sell knowledge, but this knowledge cannot be sold. Intellectual knowledge can be taken into the market, but this knowledge cannot be taken into the market, for this is absolute knowledge. Vedic knowledge gives us our fulfillment of life, attaining which we will no longer feel the necessity to run here and there for any greater knowledge. Previously, that knowledge was taught within the Gurukula, the ancient Vedic school. Vedic knowledge means knowledge which comes from outside the area of misunderstanding, miscalculation, and false historiography. The books recorded here are filled with temporary truths and misconceptions. Such things may be useful now, but after some time it won't work. Mundane law will have no position, and everything will be dissolved. The earth will be dissolved. Matter will be dissolved, and we won't be able to trace any quality of matter when everything is reduced to ether. No trace of air or heat or anything else will remain in any way. With the dissolution of this mundane world, nothing will remain but transcendental knowledge. In Bhagavad-Gita, 15th chapter, Krishna says, "One who reaches my abode never returns to this material world. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dharma paramamama." The dissolution will go on in the plane of the material world, but if you can secure a visa for that land, if you can enter into that soil, you will never be mishandled. When the sun, moon, and stars are all dissolved, Your eternal self, your devotional ego, will be quite safe in my plane. The material world is the land of exploitation. The spiritual world is the opposite, the land of dedication. In the middle there is the Brahma Jyoti, the line of demarcation between exploitation and dedication. Here in this material world, every unit is of an exploiting nature. There it is just the opposite. Everything there is wholly dedicated to the service of Krishna. And there is no want of anything. Rather, whatever is necessary to make service to Krishna possible comes automatically. Here, everything is based on karma or desire. So real service is not possible in this plane. There is no possibility of exploitation existing in the land of dedication. For every unit there is a dedicating one. In the lower portion of the land of dedication, there is some calculation, some awe and reverence. But in the higher sphere, it is all automatic, spontaneous love, a labor of love with increased intensity and earnestness. And we are only charmed by the beauty and love that is found in Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme abode of Krishna. In a nutshell, this is what we understand by the grace of our spiritual masters. We are very much attracted by the conception which has been given to us by our Gurudev, as he has received it from the Vedic scriptures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam. This has been explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, by his teachings and practices, and this conception has been expounded by his followers, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So, oh yes, so we can, just a short chapter, the next chapter, we can just read that, which is called the Six Philosophies of India. There are 6 ancient philosophical systems of India. The first is the Vaisheshika philosophy of Kanada Rishi, the atomic theory. According to him, everything is made of atoms. So many different atoms combine and produce this world. Kana means atomic particle. So many atomic particles have combined and produced this world by chance, with no necessity of any reason, rhyme, consciousness, nothing of the kind. And the outcome of these combinations has produced what we find here. That is the opinion of Kannada. It is an atomic world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the 19th century founder of the Krishna consciousness movement, sings in one song, Keshava Tuya Jagata Vichitra. O my Lord Krishna, I see that everything is available in your world, which has an infinite variegated nature. Separated from you, however, we are always feeling miseries. A continuous flow of suffering has swallowed us from birth to death, and we cannot tolerate the pain of such misery. And so, many relief agents, Kapila, Patanjali, Gautama, Kannada, Jaimini, Buddha, are running towards us, offering their solutions. Kapila has come with the Sankhya philosophy, the system of analysis, saying, analyze matter and you will be free from all this pain. Patanjali has come with yoga, hey Jivatma, come to meet Paramatma, then all the problems of this world will go away from you. Come in connection with the Paramatma, the Supersoul. This is his recommendation. Gautam comes with logic, Nyaya Shastra. There is one maker, one creator, but he is indifferent. He's created this world, finished and left it. And you must try to live with the help of your reason. Develop your reasoning faculty and be reasonable in all your conduct. Then only can you help yourself in this world. There is no other remedy. Be a good logician, and then you will be able to control the environment with the power of reason, and you'll be happy. And Kannada says, By chance, atoms have been combined, and with the dissolution of atoms, nothing will remain. Why do you bother? Don't care. What is fate? It is nothing. Ignore it. And when the body is dissolved, nothing will remain. Why lament? Then with the philosophy of karma mimamsa, Jaimini says, there may be one who has connected us with this world and our karma, but karma is all in all. He is an indifferent observer. He has got no hold on us any longer. According to our karma, we shall thrive or we shall go down. So these activities are recommended to you. If you go on with your karma, you will be happy. Of course, it cannot be denied. Karma fall, the result of karma, diminishes and is ended. But stick to karma, good karma. Don't go to bad karma. The result of good karma will be finished, but that doesn't matter. Again, go on doing good karma, and the good result will await you in heaven, and you will have a happy life. If anything is friendly to you, it is your karma. There is God, but he is indifferent. He is bound to serve you, either good or bad, according to your karma. He has no independence. This is the philosophy of Jaimini. Then another class of philosophy is that of Buddha. Only the combination of different things has entered your mental system, created your mental system. With the dissolution of the mental system, nothing remains. So somehow we must dissolve the mental system. Practice ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truthfulness, and so on. It is seen that all these philosophers are talking either of renunciation or of exploitation, bhukti, mukti. And by setting different types of enchanting traps, they arrange to capture the jiva soul. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, but I have come to realize that these fellows are all cheaters, and they have all this common stand. They have no touch of your devotion, your service. Then they are one. They cannot deliver any real good. They are common to oppose your devotional service and supremacy, and ultimately they leave us in chaos. But from the ultimate standpoint, I see that they are agents engaged by you to segregate the seriously diseased persons to another ward, for the good of the less seriously diseased patients. It is your arrangement to segregate the hopeless persons to another side for the benefit of the good side. That is your design, and they are playing in your hand like so many dolls. They are your agents, and they are also serving you in some way, because nothing is outside you. Bhaktivinoda Thakur concludes saying, I bid goodbye to them all. I feel in my heart that I shall show respect to all these so-called good agents from a distance. However, my only real capital is the dust of the holy feet of your devotees. I rely on that dust as the source of all my prospects. I seek to put all my energy into taking the dust of their holy lotus feet upon my head, and this is everything for me. This is called Sat Darshan in India, Six Philosophies of India. The one he doesn't mention there actually is Vedanta. Vedanta is one of those six. And Vedanta is two types. Two types is, one is theistic Vedanta and one is atheistic Vedanta. Atheistic Vedanta means that which was taught by Shankara. And theistic Vedanta means that taught by the Vaishnava Acharyas. Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka Swami, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They have taught theistic Vedanta. Madhvacharya says of Shankara that Shankara has taken some the Vedanta and drawn out some convoluted meaning from it. He said, but Vedavyas, the author of the Vedanta, he says what he means and means what he says. There's no necessity for any interpretation of what he said. There's no subtext or ulterior meaning to what Vyasadeva has given. His meaning is clear and straightforward. And those who understand that, they embrace theistic Vedanta. Of course, Shankara is not to blame. Shankara is Lord Shiva, and he has come for a purpose, and that purpose was, one, to move people away from Buddhism, which was prevalent at that time, and to re-establish the Veda as the line of truth. And from there, the Vaishnava Acharyas were able to build on that to establish theistic Vedanta. Anyhow, so next chapter, we can just finish that next chapter, which is a little, yeah, we can finish, which is called Beyond Christianity. In the following conversation, Srila Sridhar Maharaj compares theistic beliefs with some Christian students from America. Christian asks, can you explain the Vaishnava viewpoint of Christianity? Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Christianity is incomplete Vaishnavism, not full-fledged, but the basis of devotional theism. We find the principle of die to live there to a certain extent, at least physically. The Christians say that the ideal shown by Jesus is self-sacrifice. In our consideration, however, this is not full-fledged theism, but only the basis. It is an unclear, vague conception of Godhead. We are for him, but how much and in what shape and which attitude? All these things are unexplained and unclear in Christianity. Everything is hazy, as if seen from far off. It doesn't take any proper shape. The cover is not fully removed, allowing us to come face to face with the object of our service. The conception of service to God is there, and a strong impetus to attain that. So the foundation is good, but the structure over the foundation is unclear, vague, and imperfect. And the Christian says, Christians like the idea of surrender, service, and giving everything to God. Sridhar Maharaj, yes, that is common, but surrender to whom? Christians say that Jesus is the only way. Sridhar Maharaj, yes, and his way is die to live. But what for? What is our positive attainment? What is our positive engagement in the Lord's service? We must not only submit in gratefulness to the highest authority, but we must have a direct connection with him and cent% engagement in his service. Simply going on in your own way, praying, "Oh God, give us bread," going to the church once a week is not sufficient. 24-hour engagement is possible in full-fledged theism. God can engage us 24 hours a day. We must attain that position, full engagement with him. Everything else is subordinate to that position. The Christian says, there are some Christian traditions that are very similar to Krishna consciousness. Guru Maharaj's reply. They are very akin in their foundation. We agree that we must sacrifice everything for God. But who is he? And who am I? And what is our relationship? Christianity gives us only a hazy conception. In the Christian conception, when Adam and Eve were surrendered, they had no problems in life. But then they tasted the fruit of the tree of knowledge, or the calculation of self-interest, and they fell and were forced to live a life of labor. Only a general idea of our relationship with God is given there. But when we have to define in detail the characteristics of God, and in which relationship to approach him, Christianity gives us only a hazy idea. Once, some Christian priests told our Guru Maharaj that Madhura Rasa, conjugal relationship with God, is also found within Christianity. In the Middle Ages, there was a fashion amongst the Christians to consider God as Christ as a bridegroom, and some parable is also given where Lord Jesus Christ is considered as a bridegroom. So they say that Madhura Rasa, the consort relationship, is also found within Christianity. Prabhupada told them, this is with his son, with his devotee, not with God. Son means Guru, the deliverer. The conception of God is the Trinity. Their conception of God is the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. The Ghost is perhaps considered to have the highest position. If it is so, then Christianity ends in Brahmavad Nirvishesh. Do you follow? Yes, I think you explained before that Brahman means the impersonal aspect of God's existence, Guru Maharaj. God the Father means God the Creator. God the Son is Guru. And God as Ghost perhaps holds the supreme position in Christianity over the Father conception and over the Son conception. If that's the case, then their understanding goes to impersonal Brahman. I was told that once in a drama in Germany, they had to show the figure of God. So in some high position in a balcony, they put a figure of grave nature with a grey beard, commanding from there. God the Father was shown like that. That is their idea, the fatherhood of Godhead, a grey-bearded old man as God. But from the consideration of rasa and ananda, ecstasy, God should be the center of all different relationships, including sonhood and consorthood. To conceive of God as our Father is an incomplete understanding, for parents are also servitors. He must be in the center, not in any extremity of the whole. He is not simply watching over the whole. The conception of Krishna is that of God in the center. Of all approaches to God, the approach for a loving relationship is supreme. The intensity of that relationship is to be considered, and God must be at the center of all loving relationships. Anandan Brahmano Vidvan. Ananda is the most precious thing ever discovered, and the full representation of the highest Ananda should be considered as the highest absolute, which can attract everyone, not by power, not by force, but by charm. The center of all attraction is Krishna. His attraction is by beauty, by charm, and by love, and not by coercion and force. That is the Krishna conception of Godhead. Christians are afraid to go beyond Jesus because Jesus has warned us about cheaters. Sridhar Maharaj, I'm not speaking about the Christians. I'm speaking about Jesus, who has given the ideals of Christianity. I'm speaking about the principles of Jesus. He has given us some understanding by installments, but not full knowledge. We agree about the strong foundation of theism. Jesus was crucified because he said, "Everything belongs to my Father. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is his." So the foundation is very good. It is laudable, but that is only the first installment of the theistic conception. Who is my Lord? What is his nature? Who am I? What is my inner self? And what is my connection with him? How can I live continuously in his memory and service? The conception that we are meant for him, designed and destined for him, is laudable, but it must be clarified. We must attain the highest position. All these things are absent in Christianity. Only sacrifice for the Lord is given, and that's all right. It is the basic necessity of the soul. But after that, what is to be achieved? They are silent. They are afraid to go beyond Jesus, yes, but there is so much grace, so much love in divinity, that God can sit on your lap and embrace us. A much more intimate connection is unfolded in Vaishnavism. But if we are afraid to cross the fundamental advice of Jesus, then we become sahajiyas or imitationists. We must risk everything for our Lord and make our position firm in his service. We must die to live. And what is living? We have to analyze what real life is. And if, without dying, we want to drag God into our fleshy play, then we become sahajiyas or imitationists. We must cross the threshold given by Jesus. He has declared, die to live. The Lord's company is so valuable to us that we must risk everything for him. This material achievement is nothing. It's all poison. We must have no attraction for it. We must be ready to leave everything, all our material prospects and aspirations, including our body, for him. God is great, but what is his greatness? What is my position? How can I engage myself in his service 24 hours a day? Here, Jesus is silent. we receive no specific program from the Christians at this stage. So Vaishnavism comes to our heart's relief, to satisfy our inner necessity, whatever it may be. Our inner thirst will be quenched there. You may be conscious or unconscious of the many demands within you, but they will reach full satisfaction in its most beautiful form there alone. It is not only that from far off we shall show God some reverential salute, but we can have him in a very intimate way. The ideal of an intimate loving connection with God has been given by Vaishnavism, especially by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. The feeling of possessing anything here in the material world cannot be real. It is a perverted reflection, but that feeling must be present in the original world. Otherwise, what is its origin? From where do the different feelings of necessity within us come? They must be present in the causal world, for everything is emanating from Krishna. So the hankering of every atom of our body, mind and soul will receive its greatest fulfillment there. This understanding is given by Vaishnavism, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srimad Bhagavatam, and by Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita. Christian: I've heard of the Bhagavad-Gita. What is the history of its origin? Sridhar Maharaj: in the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, what I am saying to you now is not a new thing. I have already told this to Surya, the sun god, and he delivered it to Manu, the father of man. In this way, this knowledge descended in disciplic succession, and by the influence of time it was finished. Again, I am repeating that ancient knowledge to you. This refers to karma yoga, which means don't care about the result, good or bad, but go on with your duty. Then you can have peace of mind. Christian: what is the message of Bhagavad-Gita? Sridhar Maharaj: there are different stages of education imparted in Bhagavad-Gita. Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, so many different layers of theism. But pure devotional theism begins where Krishna says, Sarva Dharmam Parityaja. Give up your affinity to all other activities, whether religious or non-religious, and wholly surrender to me. Don't try to push your demands on me, but ask me what will be most beneficial for you. And what shall I do on your behalf? Fully surrender to me, and I will give myself to you. All these other methods and their prospects are more or less effective and valuable, but don't aspire after anything but me. That will be your highest prospect, to want me, to have me, to live in me, to do whatever I say, to enter into my own personal family in my private life. That will be your highest attainment. Don't aspire for anything else from me. The comparative study of all religious aspirations will show that the highest inner necessity may be satisfied by entrance into my personal private dealings. Christian says, Christians think that if we are sincere, we should follow the Bible. We take very literally the word of Christ. Sridhar Maharaj: yes, according to one's capacity, he may be enlisted in a particular class. Some will go to Christianity, and after finishing that, if their hankering is still unsatisfied, they will seek somewhere else, thinking, what is God? I want to know more perfectly. In this regard, I can give one example. There was a Professor Nixon in England. He went to fight against Germany in the First World War on the French side. As he was flying over the German lines, his airplane was hit and began to fall. He saw that the plane would fall on the German lines. When I met him here in India, he told me, at that time I prayed, if there is any God, let him save me. And I promise that if I do not die in this plane crash, I will go to search after him. I will devote my whole life in search of him. The plane crashed, and when Professor Nixon regained consciousness, he found that he was behind the French lines in a hospital in France. At that time he thought to himself, there is a God. He has heard my last prayer. When his wounds were healed, he went straight to England to see some churchmen. He told them, I want to search after God and engage myself 24 hours a day in the cause of his service. I want to see him face to face. He saw many clergymen and even some bishops, and they ultimately advised him, if you want to see God face to face, then go to India. We cannot recommend such a process to you, but we have heard that in India there are yogis who internally connect with the Lord in the heart. You may try your fortune there. So he came here to India, where he met the Vice-Chancellor of Lucknow University. In talking with him, Professor Nixon met the Vice-Chancellor's wife, who was a Gaudiya Vaishnava, a devotee of Mahaprabhu. He was so much charmed by her advice that he accepted her as his guru. Finally, he took sannyas, and his name became Swami Krishna Prem. He established a temple here in India and preached about Bhagavad Dharma and Mahaprabhu. He made a comparative study of all religions, beginning from Christianity, and gradually came to Vaishnavism, attracted by Mahaprabhu's gift. One German scholar also said, in all the religious conceptions of the world, the conception of 24-hour engagement with God, Astakaliya Leela, has never been given. I have studied all religious theologies, but none could even conceive of 24-hour service to the Supreme Lord. It is only given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Rupa Goswami is given the scientific representation of Krishna, Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is the reservoir of all possible pleasures, all possible tendencies for satisfaction that we may feel, and even those we may not feel, are present in Krishna and have their ideal, purest satisfaction with him alone. He is all accommodating and all comprehensive. Whatever satisfaction our inner heart demands can be fulfilled only by him. Christian says, some Christians are so much afraid to go beyond the Bible that they will not make a study of other theistic beliefs. Sridhar Maharaj, according to one's capacity, he will purchase in the market. Sve sve, dikare anishta sa guna parikritaha. In the market there may be valuable things, but the buyer must have some capacity to purchase them. The rishis, the tradesmen of knowledge, have also gone so far as to say, this is the highest, go no further. Similarly, Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Shwadharme niddanam shreya paradharmo vayavaha, in the 3rd chapter. Don't go any further, you'll be doomed. Take your stand here, go no further. And why is such warning given to us? Generally, our teachers advise us, pay full attention here. Only then will you understand everything completely, and your march to the end point will be sincere and satisfactory. Otherwise, Sahajism or imitationism will enter your heart. Do you think that in one leap you can capture the summit of a hill? Impossible. You must march, but your march must be sincere. You must make real progress, not imitative progress. The warning is given at every stage of life. This is the highest for you. Give your whole attention to this. Don't be absent-minded and haphazard in your study. Engage yourself fully in this lesson, and the next stage will come to you automatically. As a matter of policy, we are told that our present stage of instruction is the highest. When a professor comes to teach a child, he will accept the mentality of the child. He will say, only go so far and no further. This is the final stage. Give your whole attention to understanding this point. And when that is finished, then go further. In this way, by gradual installments, knowledge is revealed. Christian, so there are different stages for different persons? Sridhar Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given his decision in his Tattva Sutra, that although when Bhagavad-Gita was spoken to Arjuna, he engaged himself in fighting, had it been Uddhava in place of Arjuna, after hearing the conclusion of Bhagavad-Gita, where Krishna says, "Give up everything and surrender to me," Uddhava would have accepted this and gone away from the warfield. Upon hearing the same advice, Arjuna acted in one way, but Uddhava would have acted in another. After hearing the first installment of Krishna's instructions, Arjuna tells Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita, "Jayasi chet karmanaste matta buddhi janardana tatkim karmani gore mam niyojashi keshava vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohaya shiva me tadekam vada nischitya jena shreyoham apnuyam." You say that gyan, knowledge, is better than karma, work. Why then do you want to engage me in this dreadful karma of fighting? Then Krishna said, "You have your capacity in karma. Finish your career and then you can aspire to come to the level of gyan, inquiry into knowledge. It's not a cheap thing to transcend all activity and attain nice-karmya, freedom from karma. First finish the course of your karma. Then you will become free from karma, and gradually you will develop transcendental knowledge and devotion. So I say, engage yourself in this present fight. Fighting is not recommended for everyone, but for you and men of your section." Christian: In your opinion, what stage of God realization should people be advised to follow? Sridhar Maharaj: Krishna consciousness should be preached in a general way, and people will come according to their inner response. Some may even come to attack us. The communists will say, "No religious preaching is allowed here. It's all theoretical. You neglect the concrete world and take the abstract to be everything. By hearing this, the people will suffer, so we won't allow it." That is one stage. Beginning from there are so many stages. If you preach to a crowd, those who find a response within their inner hearts will come to you, according to the degree of their realization. Their inner demand will bring them in contact with an agent of truth. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj went to the West and preached, and so many converted to Krishna consciousness. How was it possible? They were not Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but they felt some inner affinity. While wandering in this world, everyone is gathering some new experience and some new taste. According to the degree of his awakenment, one will respond to a preacher in his own layer. He will find, "Oh, after so long I see that there is the possibility of an outlet for the urge I found in my heart. There is a plane that can satisfy that aspiration of mine. I must connect with him and inquire of that land of my dreams." In this way they will come to seek the association of devotees. Birds of a feather flock together. According to their inner taste they will come together and go on with their duties in that plane. At that pace, until from there they can go further to a higher position. Sometimes in the same life one may change his creed and go higher, and sometimes one may wait until his next birth. Christian: If the quality of preaching is too high, people may be discouraged. Sridhar Maharaj: It may be too high for one and too near for another. It is not too high for all. For if it was, then how would conversion be possible? So many people are becoming Mohammedans, Christians and Hindus. All Christians were not born Christians. How were people first attracted to become Christians? There arose in their heart the hankering for Christianity. When Achyutananda Swami, the first disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, went to my birthplace here in Bengal, a headmaster asked him, we are so near and we cannot appreciate the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How is it that from such a far-off country you have come to sacrifice your life for the service of Sri Chaitanya Dev? Achyutananda Swami answered, Brahmananda Brahmite Kona Bhagavana Jeev. We have to acquire this capacity during the course of our wanderings in different positions throughout the creation. We are wandering from this land to the next, from this species to that species. And in the course of that, we gather some sukriti or pious credit. Agyata sukriti means that unknowingly and unconsciously our energy is spent in the service of the Lord. And the reaction comes in the form of some pious credit. And when sukriti is more developed, it becomes gyata sukriti, or pious activity knowingly performed. Then shraddha, faith, our inner attraction for the universal truth, comes to the surface. In this way, it may develop from any stage. Even a beast may feel the tendency to serve Krishna. In Vrindavan, so many living beings, trees, beasts, and even the water have acquired their position by consciously desiring it. Although they have accepted an apparently material pose, they eternally hold the position in the service of Krishna. Christian, there's one book called The Way of the Pilgrim about a Christian who chants the name of Jesus on beads. Sridhar Maharaj, yes, the Catholics also use beads. Some Christians may chant the name of Christ. Christian, this man was chanting the name of Jesus. His heart was growing soft and he was feeling ecstasy, great love for Jesus. Sridhar Maharaj, then he may attain the position of Jesus at most. It may be that in his attempt for perfection, his growth is finished there, in the eternal paraphernalia of Jesus. He may remain there. If he has found his fullest satisfaction, he is fated to be there. By the will of God, and by the powerful will of an exalted devotee, even from the impersonal Brahman effulgence, one may be roused from his slumber and moved to action in devotional service. Generally, they pass long ages there in non-differentiated plane, satisfied with the spiritual attainment. However, in the consideration of infinite time, nothing is very great or spacious. They may remain holding that position for a long time. So many dissolutions and creations may come and go, but the impossible remains that their but the possibility remains that their slumber may be broken at any time. Since time immemorial, this created world has been in existence, and so many souls are ascending to the Brahman effulgence and again descending. So even in the midst of the infinite Brahman effulgence, some souls are coming out. It is a question of infinity, so the position of Jesus may be considered as eternal, and the time may come when Jesus himself may be converted into Vaishnavism. It is not impossible. Christian, do you think that Jesus had awareness of Krishna as the personality of Godhead? Sridhar Maharaj, when his inner attainment is most closely detected, then we are bound to say that in the course of his eternal life, there is some possibility of his achieving Krishna. Christian, I don't understand. Sridhar Maharaj, is Jesus stagnant or progressive? Where he is reached, is that finished forever or is he dynamic? Christian, well, Christians will say that he has full knowledge. Sridhar Maharaj, so is he stagnant there, finally fixed? Is that Jesus' position? Do the bishops say that his position is final? Or does he have a progressive life? Or is Jesus alone barred from making further progress? Is he a member of the dynamic world or the stagnant world? So this is the nature of the infinite. Being finite, we are going to deal with the infinite? That is our ludicrous tendency. It is ludicrous for us to deal with the infinite. Why is Krishna considered to be the absolute truth? This you should inquire about in a scientific way, step by step. As I have recommended, you should go on reading about that in Sri Krishna Samhita and the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You should try to follow very minutely the dynamic development of theism as it is presented there. Christian, as I understand it, reincarnation means that a soul may regress into a lower species by performing sinful acts. But how does it benefit a soul to be punished by taking birth in the animal species if later he has no recollection of this? Sridhar Maharaj, sometimes it's necessary for a doctor to make a patient unconscious. Sometimes a dacoit is imprisoned and put under chains. When his movement will be detrimental to society, he is confined in a cell and chained. So sometimes it is necessary to take away one's independence, his voluntary action. By suffering the reactions of his previous karma, one may be relieved. Then again he may be given voluntary action. When by his voluntary will a soul has done so many misdeeds and acquired so many reactions, it is necessary that his free will be stopped temporarily. He will be allowed to suffer the reactions of his previous sins, and then again some freedom will be given to him so that he may take the proper course which is useful for him. As long as a drunkard is a drunkard, when he is expected to do some mischief to the environment, he should be confined. And when the madness of drinking is gone, then he will be released and allowed to move freely. Christians generally don't accept that animals have souls. Sridhar Maharaj, Jesus did not care to bring his followers within that conception. He saw that they were accustomed to eating animals and fish, so he did not want to embarrass them with these questions. He thought they should begin theistic life, and when again they are able to consider these points, at that time they may be given this installment. Life is also present within the non-human species, and it is no less qualified than the human position. But in the course of the evolutionary movement of the soul, it is thrown into such a condition as the result of karma. Wherever life is present, the soul is there within. It's a common thing. But Jesus thought it would be impossible for them to adjust their understanding of the environment to such a degree. He thought to let them begin with the culture of theism, and then gradually such instruction could be given. He told them, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." That is also good, but not only is the soul present there, God is also there, and everywhere. The lower species are also feeling pain and pleasure. In animals, it is quite clear that when they are killed, they feel pain. So there is life. The vibration of pain is there, consciousness is there, and the soul is a unit of pure consciousness. But the persons to whom Jesus preached were not so qualified as to extend their knowledge that far. They are not prepared for such a great amount of sacrifice in their practices. So for those who are not prepared to sacrifice themselves to such an extent, Christianity has been given by Jesus. Still, everything has been ordained from the same common center. Christianity has its necessity. Islam also has its necessity. There is room for such creeds in the universe. They are not unnecessary, but they hold a relative position. Then what is the position of the absolute truth? When we have to inquire deeply about this, then we come to India. There it has been dealt with very extensively, with all possible conceptions of religion. So many variegated theological conceptions are found in India that a fraction of that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. But ultimately, Srimad Bhagavatam was given as the highest conception. How? That we have to understand and follow very minutely. You should study the Brihad Bhagavatamrita and its more modern form, Sri Krishna Samhita by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Christian. I've read that. But you must read it more closely and more scrutinizingly. You must read that again and again until you find satisfaction and answers to all your inquiries. There the gradation of our relationship with God is shown, explaining how from a particular stage of theism one is forced to progress to a higher level of attainment. So, we'll stop there today. And now we can do Arti. Thank you all for listening to that. It did go a little longer than I expected. And we can join again next week, either physically here in the temple or online as we are here. We hope you'll all join with us. I want to just say, offer my appreciation to those devotees who have been covering the service here. So many of our devotees have come down with this virus, and only one or two able to do the service of many, especially our Dwarakesh Prabhu, Madhu Mangal Prabhu, Toshan Krishna Prabhu and his family, Surendra Mohan Prabhu and others. all doing the service when we are not able to do that. For that, and also at our other centre in North London, similar thing, everyone there going down. Sometimes only Lavanya Mai serving there for everything. Saraswati Didi, although she also had the COVID for a second time, now she's recovering and she's also immediately again serving, and so many devotees there. Rasamai Pandita and Sachi Devi doing the service when no others can. So we just want to mention their names because we very much we appreciate their service, their sacrifice. And we know that Mahaprabhu and Guru Maharaj, Gurudev are blessing them so much. So we're happy that you can all be with us today. Thank you very much. Let us all join again soon. Hare Krishna, Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai, Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai, Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda Ki Jai, Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai, Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
Chaitanya